Welcome to Life, Death, and the Law, presented by the law firm of Deason, Garner, and Hansen, hosted by attorneys Shawn Garner and Adam Hansen.
You look amazing, Chris.
Thank you.
You're a specimen.
Well, I did shower today, but the sweatsuit culture.
Mm-hmm.
You go on an airplane and it's just people are in their pajamas. And I was a big fan of Mad Men, and one of the things I loved about it is how put together. You didn't leave the house.
Yeah.
You were put together.
Yeah.
If you're going on an airplane, I mean, you were wearing a suit. It was like going to church, And now it's wake up, throw on the biggest thing you can find. It's I don't know. It's one of the declines, I think, in our society is a lack of presentation. You got to present yourself well. I try.
You know what I do when I fly? I wear compression socks.
Yeah.
It's the most sexy thing you can
You're
do.
at that age.
You wear compression socks at work.
I do.
You do?
Yeah.
Wow. You have blood pressure issues?
I do not, but...
Why do you wear them then?
Because I have them now.
Good?
I bought them to ride on the airplanes, and I'm like, well, I guess I'll just wear these all the time. I don't want to invest in other
You feel
socks.
like your energy is better because the circulation is better? Is that what it is? To promote circulation in your feet?
Yeah, I guess originally it was to go on airplanes. So while I was flying long trips, like if you go to Europe or something, it's like, 11 hours or something. And so we would wear, my wife and I would wear compression socks, like knee-high compression socks, just to keep that blood going,
shorts.
Because you sit for so long. Yeah, short shorts, as short as possible. And then it just converted to be, I'm like, well, if it works on the airplane, maybe it works at work when I was sitting down a lot. Now I don't really sit that much. I have a standing desk.
Uh-huh.
Not to flex on everybody, but I'm better than you.
Yeah. You're burning calories while you're
Look
typing.
down on everyone.
Yeah, I'm like, you're sitting?
Mm-hmm.
Sending this email up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm laying
Here's the 5 things I did
reclined in
last
my
week.
couch as I type
I will
out.
Stood.
Yeah, but the compression, it's not terrible. It's not a terrible feeling.
No.
So when I go on our motorcycle rides or fishing, I'll wear like athletic, I don't know what leggings sounds like the wrong term. But
Yeah.
That's
athletic
probably right.
tights doesn't sound right either. But athletic compression pants or whatever
Jane Fonda.
for warmth and everything. But I got to be honest, if it was acceptable,
That's all you
I'd wear 'em.
just sport those, okay?
Yeah, it feels good. It feels good. Stuff glides. I mean, it's great.
Everything's
I wear 2 pair of socks every day.
Every day you wear 2 pairs of socks.
Yes.
Why is that?
I did it when I was hiking younger.
Okay.
And I was like, wow, that really felt a lot better. And I'm like, why not?
2 of the same socks, or do you have like one's thin and then
No, it doesn't really matter. They can't be both like thick socks. Usually I wear a lot of dress socks.
Uh-huh.
And even if I'm wearing tennis shoes and shorts, I'm wearing dress socks. Yeah, you're looking at my polka dot dress socks right now. And so I'll wear a pair of athletic socks generally underneath, just like, there's this compression. They look like nylons.
Thank you.
And I'll wear some just athletic ankle high, I guess, Puma socks underneath.
Uh-huh.
And then some dress socks.
Full on crew socks.
Every day. Like if I don't have 2 pair of socks, I feel like I'm barefooting it in my shoes.
Huh. Yeah, I feel like my shoes would be too tight.
Yeah.
Well, I buy my shoes large for that.
Hot.
What happens if the sock like underneath kind of shimmies loose? Then
Never does.
Never does.
No.
Quality socks, not a quitter.
Yeah, and quite honestly, I think, it's more cushion for, if nothing else, it's more cushion. But I think the breathability.
Okay.
So, there you go.
It breathes more.
I think it's more
I
breathable.
would think your feet were like a sauna.
Yeah, I would think so too. But I
You're,
think that
wringing it out when you get home.
Insulating layer, like a Stanley Cup.
I've got the leather shoes on anyway, so if I were to go barefoot in those, they'd sweat like crazy. 1 pair of socks reduces a little bit. 2 pair of socks, right?
So at home, on the
that only makes
weekend-
sense. That's physics right there, Adam.
Yeah, it might be. There might be like an air layer between the socks that's
Because
creating.
in hiking, you do it so you don't get
Blisters.
blisters on your feet. Gangrene. Yeah. So no, so you don't get blisters, right? Because the friction rubs against the sock instead of your foot.
Okay.
And especially when you're wearing like rigid boots. And I'm wearing dress shoes all the time, and they're not as flexible as tennis shoes. And so, yeah, the friction, I guess, wears against the other sock. Anyway, I don't think anybody really cares that much. So we'll move on.
Speaking of which, nobody caring about your kids. My kids hate
I didn't
feet.
say no one cares. No one cares as
No, I
much.
think I agree with you. Like nobody
No one cares
cares.
as much.
And I think he was emphasizing the your.
Right.
Well,
It's mostly the Hansen kids.
Well, rightfully so. I'm the same way, man. I'm with you. So no, they cannot stand feet. So like if we're piled on my bed or something, that's my favorite thing is just like reach out and they're not paying attention and just touch my toe or my foot on them. They're like, they just go nuts.
Oh, my daughter will freak. Get those dogs off of me.
Yeah, get your
Pinch their
dogs off
ear.
of me.
Yeah.
Oh, man, you get an ear pinch with a toe.
Oh, sick.
Oh,
What? How's that possible?
That's awesome.
Trauma.
That's dad glory right there. That's what we live for.
Oh, really? You wake your kids up with that?
Come on, sunshine.
Wakey, wakey. Eggs and bakey and toe jam. Ugh. There's no way that your feet aren't sweaty. I just don't buy it. With 2 socks.
All right, we're doing a sweat test after work today.
Okay.
Foot 5. Barefoot.
So I do have some questions for you. I prepped for this. I've been prepping for it all month since our last interview. And one of the questions is, what purchase have you made in your life that was like you anticipated it, you really looked forward to it, and then when you made that purchase, it was like, yes, that now I'm happy.
Ooh, good question.
On a scale from 1 to 10, we'll get to the second half of that question is, how happy were you after the purchase?
Man, there's a scale to that, right? Because I've bought small things that I look forward to.
Yeah, so let's break it down. Something that you really anticipated for a long time, and you were just amped up for it, kind of like waiting for Christmas, and then you purchased it, and how did the reality compare to the anticipation?
Now, are we talking about when you got your first Nintendo as a kid?
It could be Nintendo, could be your truck, could be your whatever, your office building.
When we got our first Nintendo, it was mind-blowing.
Uh-huh.
Mind blowing. My parents were good about. We had the Atari. We had the Intellivision, which I think was pre-Atari. We'd play Pong, which was just 2 cursors that would bounce a cursor back and forth, and we were blown away. My favorite game was Hunt the Wumpus.
Okay.
Hunt the Wumpus, and it was a math game. I hate math, but I loved Hunt the Wumpus. And if you had to get the math right in order to search the cave. And eventually you'd find the Wumpus. Which was this math monster, I guess.
I play that with my wife sometimes.
Yeah? Well, Hunt the Wumpus. It's a good one.
No comment.
I don't know. There's little things that I want. I love kitchen. I love cooking. And so I'll research to find the perfect pan or whatever. And then when it turns out to be great and work just as advertised, that's fantastic. I mean, I love my truck.
Whoa, that was the most anticlimactic item you could have said.
I don't know. I don't.
The perfect pan. You've got some pretty cool toys. You've got a sweet restored truck. You've got a nice boat. You've got a very nice fifth wheel. And you're talking about a pan?
Yeah. Well, when you cook the perfect pancake on the perfect pan, it's just there's something that, it's just there's a euphoria.
Yeah. Do we have a contract for him to come back monthly? Because I think we need to review that.
Am I losing you? So something that I look forward to, a purchase that I look forward to. Gosh, I mean, I loved, you get a new iPad or something, or the new iPhone.
Were you one of those that waited in line?
Only once did I wait in line, and then after that there was online purchasing, so you could pre-order. So the release date would show up, so that's always just a fantastic feeling. And then when you see the new Retina display and compare it to the old one, I mean, I've got a stack of old.
Oh, you keep your iPhones? You don't, or iPads?
Oh yeah, no, I never give them to them.
Yeah.
Well, there's photos and things on there, pre-iCloud. I mean, every once in a while I'll charge them up and scroll through the pictures and all that stuff. And there's some stuff on there you can't ever get back.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, and so
Sorry, that was anticlimactic.
Yeah, it was. I was hoping it
Our
to be.
team can edit that question.
No. It's all right.
What about you?
We want the authentic you.
This is just me?
Well, I want to know about the pan.
What's your pan?
My pan.
I want to know your pan though. Like, what pan that we need to be looking for
So
at Home Goods?
I love cast iron. I love cooking with cast iron. But
Wow.
when we were in,
Those are difficult.
they're a little different. They take a little work.
For amateurs.
They take a little
Yeah.
work, but the product is so much better.
I want Farberware Teflon.
No, No.
The hexagon.
I haven't tried those, but I don't know. I just, you can't beat hundreds of years of, a lot of the cast iron that I have is antique. And what I love about it is it could have been used somewhere, 100 years ago.
Cowboy
Somebody
along the
made,
trail.
somebody made eggs in this thing 100 years ago. So
Mhm.
I love to antique. When we travel, I'll go somewhere and I go straight to the
You go
cast iron.
antiquing.
Yeah, I love it. My daughters love it. We go together. We go to New Orleans once a year, or for a while we were until COVID and everything. We'd walk down that antique row and go into every shop. And I've got some fantastic copper pans that I imagine were used in some,
I can see
Victorian
copper.
home or something.
Copper, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so there's a couple. I have some copper pans I really enjoy.
You hang them up around like an island in your kitchen?
I'm working on that. My wife is coming around
Mm.
to that idea.
Wow. So you're the one that is like pushing the remodeling of the kitchen to have all of your cookware hanging and
I'd like to.
at
Yeah, I think some of it
arm's
deserves to be
reach.
seen. There's a lot of history in that stuff. And I've got some unique pieces, I'll
Mhm.
call them. This is sounding really bougie, but some unique pieces of cast iron that are, from the 1800s, and I think that's really, really cool.
How do you know that?
There's marks on them, and
Stamps
so when
on the
you
bottom or
purchase
something?
it, a cast iron pan could be hundreds and hundreds of dollars depending on how old it is, how rare it is. And what's so fantastic is you can still use. You're using it. It's not just on display.
And it's so porous that it still has some of the original bacon grease from the 1800s.
You could be tasting bacon that some cowboy had on the range, in Oklahoma somewhere.
That always
Hundreds
kind
of
of got
years.
me. I was like, you need to season your pan.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like,
Very important.
little bit disgusts me. I thought I want to clean my pan. I want to start fresh.
Well, you're cleaning
every
it.
meal.
You're cleaning it. Heat. What's going to survive 400, 500, 600 degrees?
Yeah, but even if it's clean, still there.
Yeah.
Anyway, you asked my favorite purchase. So this went in a totally different direction than I thought, but it's
Sorry.
good. No. The reason why is because I was thinking back, all the things that I really anticipated wanting when I got them, it was a letdown. For example, I think the really big thing that I anticipated was a Harley Davidson, the first Harley Davidson. And my first motorcycle was a Honda Rebel. It was a 250.
Yeah, I
No,
remember the
it was
Rebel.
a 450. It was a 450.
Oh, okay.
And
I had a 250.
yeah, the
The
450.
Honda Nighthawk. I didn't have the Rebel. I had the Nighthawk.
And I liked
But the Rebel was cool.
The
'cause
Rebel
it
is
was so
super
low.
cool. And it has pipes on both sides.
Yes. Yeah, the dual exhaust.
And I really liked that. I didn't know how to ride a motorcycle, so I had to have my friend ride it home for me. And I lived in a little cul-de-sac. I lived in a room of a house in a little cul-de-sac in Mesa, Arizona. And I was learning how to ride it, how to shift and do the clutch. And all the kids, I was familiar with the kids. They would run around and say hi, and we would be out in the front yard. And so when I got the motorcycle, they were like very excited to see it. And they're all riding around on their bikes, watching me learn how to ride the motorcycle, wobbling and stuff like that. And like, you got it. And I'm like, clear out of the way. You never know when this thing's going to go.
Coming up, more thought-provoking conversations on life, death, and the law right after this. You're listening to Life, Death, and the Law, presented by Garner, and Hansen, the law firm that has been voted Yuma's best 6 years in a row.
And so I learned how to ride that Honda Rebel, and that was awesome. That was like my first taste of freedom. I was 18 years old.
Oh, yeah.
Then my brother, he came across this good deal on a Harley. I was coming back from Brazil, serving a mission, and he knew I didn't have a vehicle, so he's like, "Hey, I got this good deal on a Harley. You can drive this until you get a car, and just pay me when you can," type deal. And it was just like, I cannot believe it. My wildest dreams have come true. And it was very cool for the first month. And then riding, even in Mesa, riding to work at 5:30 in the morning in February, I was a data input specialist. And so I had to work on the 10 key. And I couldn't actually start my job for like a half an hour after I got to work because my fingers were frozen. And I didn't have gloves. I was dirt poor when I came. And so I remember one of the workers, he had a Harley too. And when I pulled up on a Harley, we were instantly bros. And but he saw that I wasn't wearing gloves, and he was a manager, and he's like, you're a little slow to start. And I'm like, I can't feel my fingers. So he gave me an extra pair of gloves. Yeah. And anyway, the Harley quickly lost its glimmer when I had to ride it every day, everywhere. And so, yeah, that was anticlimactic for me. I waited forever for it. I thought as a kid, there's nothing better than being able to own a Harley. And yeah, it's cool to own a Harley if you've got alternative means of transport, if it's a fun item to ride on the weekends. But if it's the only thing you can ride, then they're expensive to repair, and they're not the most reliable, and they're cold and uncomfortable.
Yeah, so I rode a motorcycle all through high school and first half of college, mostly because I crashed my first car and we couldn't afford insurance. Mm-hmm. So all we could get was a motorcycle. But yeah, absolutely. I'd get to class, and it wouldn't be until maybe second period where I could write.
Right.
Because your hands are just so cold. This was Tucson in February, and any exposed skin anywhere, neck, anything, was just frozen.
Yeah.
Frozen.
And I would answer phones too. And my tongue, I couldn't get my tongue to work. Hello. I worked at Wholesome Bakery taking orders.
Yeah, but no, I see what you're saying. I loved getting my first bike. I remember my parents brought home our first ATC 3-wheeler.
Oh, yeah.
My dad had a moped, and I'd love to take the moped out and ride the canals and stuff. And I remember just wiping out, and just
on the
waking
moped
up in a cloud of dust in the moped. I was too young. I didn't realize that
was
they
it
don't
a dirt?
Perform the same on dirt.
Yeah, was it a, because there are some mopeds that got some beefier tires, right?
No, this was like a little, little moped. Yeah, that my dad had, and you'd crank the pedals to get it started, and
oh, cool.
It was awesome. But yeah, we'd zip around on the canals down here, and I remember just getting those speed wobbles and then not knowing what to do, and then when I woke up, I was on the ground, and then I walked that moped home. So I loved it. If we still had it, I'd still ride it. It was fun.
How about you, Adam?
What a purchase I regretted?
No, purchase that you really highly anticipated, and then did the hype live up to the anticipation?
Okay, so I'm going to take you back to 1993, okay, pre-internet, and I was big into baseball back in my
So you're like in
younger
7th
years.
grade?
I was 10.
Oh, okay.
I think.
I was like 5th grade.
Something like that. And so at the time, I really looked up to the professional athletes, Michael Jordan, Jose Canseco, in baseball. And I was in baseball at the time, and so all I wanted was a wooden bat, just like the big leagues, And because all I knew was metal, that's all we had.
Louisville Slugger.
Yep, Louisville Slugger, exactly. And so, I would look at I grew up in a small podunk town outside of Tucson, and so for us to go and get something like that, it's an hour drive to Tucson.
Where was this?
Wilcox is the name of the little town that I grew up in. And so back in the day, this is pre-internet, so we would get like flyers in the mail, little shoppers, if you will, from Target, or this was from Kmart at the time. And so Kmart has a little thing, and in the sports section, had basketballs, and then they had wooden bats and stuff. And I was like, oh my gosh, there it is, And so I saved and saved. I don't know how much it was at the time. I want to say it was probably like $30, But as a 10-year-old, it took me a while. Like it took me months. I don't know if I've ever tried as hard to earn money as I did for that bat. And so the day came where I had my money, and then I had to wait. The next time we go to Tucson, go to town is what we would say. I was going to get this bat, and so I did. We went to Kmart. I was so excited. I finally got this thing, took it home. When we got home, after that hour drive, I ran straight to the backyard and threw up a baseball and just cranked that thing. And right when I hit it, it snapped in half.
Seriously?
Yeah. Apparently, you're supposed to hit baseballs with the mark up.
Yes.
It says Louisville
So
Slugger.
you're hitting the grain on the baseball.
There's a grain to it I didn't know about.
I did.
One hit, it was toast. Snapped it right in half.
Really?
So
That is crazy.
Yeah. I was into baseball, not as much, and I wanted a Louisville Slugger as well, saved as well. It's funny that, we have similar kind of backgrounds, but I remember my friend, he hit it on the mark, and, it separated the grain, and I don't think I ever forgave that kid.
I couldn't get over the jolt. There's no, when we grew up playing baseball all the time too, but you wanted the metal bats, they kind of, the vibration, the
temper that,
the concussion of the ball hitting the bat, the wood bat doesn't absorb that.
right.
I remember just my hand, just being like, oh man, wood is terrible.
Well, I was just left. I was all alone, in the backyard, and I just have the grip, like this part of the bat, just the grip,
in your hands.
and it's all fractured. I'm just like, what the? Just dropped it and walked inside.
No, you didn't just return it to Amazon?
No, not in 1993.
For me, it was the Power Glove.
No wonder Kmart went under.
Nintendo Power Glove. Remember that?
No.
Oh,
I remember
man.
the ads. I mean,
Yeah, and so
but
you
there's
could
no way we could afford
control
it.
the game with just motions on your hand and
Yeah.
everything. And
How well did it
I-
work?
And they had like
well,
buttons
I
and stuff.
begged and begged for Christmas. That's all I wanted was a
Yeah.
Power Glove. So I got it. In fact, there's still a picture of me my parents took with the Power Glove.
Mm-hmm.
In that Fred Savage movie, The Wizard or whatever. it
Yeah,
was.
yeah. Uh-huh.
So it was a big deal. And I remember playing it, playing Duck Hunt or Rad Racer or whatever. And the thing didn't work. It sucked.
Yeah.
It was so bad. But I couldn't bring myself to say how terrible it was because I'd made such a big deal about it. I didn't want my parents to feel bad, like they wasted their money. How is it? How is it? Oh, it's so good. Meanwhile, I never used it.
Yeah.
I'll just use the controller. It worked.
Yeah.
So
That
yeah.
reminds me of Apple, actually.
Mm.
What do you mean?
Well, you pay so much for these Apple products, and in reality, they're really kind of far behind
Yeah.
current
see.
technology.
People
But
that
yeah,
are-
we tell
people that are
ourselves, oh my
really
gosh, it's an
techie."
iPhone. It's an iPhone. Oh, it's got all the new things. It's like, oh, Android had that like 5 years ago, but
Yeah.
that's okay.
We had that conversation
Apple
last
makes
night.
it look good.
That's the thing, yeah. You pay for the...
Yeah. The people that are really
status, I
techie, that are
suppose.
really into it, that want to just get into every little function that's out there, they like the Android, they like the open AI, they like the open source type things. But people like me...
Freedom, yeah.
Freedom, yeah. It's overrated. People like me, I use a 10% of what even the average user, my teenager uses far more than I use on my phone. And I still don't know, like Messenger, every time I get something on Messenger, I'm like, hey, somebody sent me something on Messenger. She's like, Dad, are you serious? Here, and pull it up on Messenger. I'm like, text, call, go to YouTube. That's really all I need.
Yeah, me too. I mean, you saw my phone last night. It gave me the one over on it. It's
Yeah,
like,
that would make me so itchy to look
Mhm.
at my phone and see hundreds of notifications, hundreds of notifications on this guy's phone. And I could not live like that. If I get
how
one
did you even know
red-
that? I don't know where that is.
Well, I could tell when you opened your screen, I saw your red on your thing and there's a number, but yours was like long.
It was 200.
It wasn't like
something.
1 or
Yeah.
4.
Oh, that number.
Like the circle
I
wasn't
never look at that
the
number.
red circle wasn't round anymore. Your red circle's like shaped like a pill because the number's
It's
so
Yeah.
673.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And you haven't read them. So how do you know?
That's the thing. Ignorance is bliss.
Your mom could have
I'm
some
super
urgent
happy right
news
now.
for you and you just don't even know because it's down.
If it's urgent news, you know my policy. phone call first.
Okay.
Order of priority.
Okay.
Actually,
are we going there? We want to take it that
physically
direction?
come and
Segue.
find me.
Okay.
Number one, if it's super important, come and find me physically and talk to me face to face.
Because I have this discussion with my kids. When is it appropriate to text? When should you call? And I don't know what other modem of email. Okay.
Email, text, phone call.
So
If it wasn't important
lay
enough,
out the protocol, the etiquette.
Okay, sure. If it wasn't important enough for you to physically do something besides this with my thumbs, then it's not important to me. It's not important to you. It's not important to me. Okay. So
Now-
come find me. Number one, if it's super important. Number two, phone call, make an effort to actually dial something or push buttons and then talk, and then on the lowest of the totem pole would be a text.
Really?
That just tells me I didn't have enough. This isn't important enough to me to make an effort to call you about or come see you about. Therefore, you don't need to take it very seriously.
Well, we've left out 2: email and then
Email.
actual handwritten letter.
Email.
Ooh, a handwritten letter.
Email would be on par with text to me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Really? So, yeah, no.
What's your priority? That's the way I view
You're
things.
living life wrong. So
Tell me how it's done. I'm going
text
to
is a
learn
legitimate
from
form
you.
of communication today.
Yeah.
It's a legitimate way to communicate.
Well, let me be clear. Sorry to cut you off. I agree with you when I'm on the end texting. I expect a response immediately. Okay.
Now, one of the things that I hate
But not when I'm on
is
the
if
other
you
end.
text somebody and then they call you. I think you need to stay in the mode of communication.
I hear you.
If the conversation was initiated via text, it stays in text.
Unless,
agree. I do get annoyed by
unless
that.
the tone is escalating and you're like, I think these texts might be misinterpreted.
Right. Or if it's urgent and they're driving or something like that. But I see text as, I think, if you had to assign like a window of response, email could be 24 to 48 hours.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
if it's
think
real
that's-
urgent, it's not an email.
Right.
Text, I shorten that to
Couple hours maybe.
no. 5 to 10 minutes.
Really?
Wow.
5 to 10 minutes, I want a response.
Wow.
Don't you think that like you can never really get heavily involved in what you're working on if you're constantly linked to
Do not
whoever?
disturb. I use the do not
But-
disturb.
but
We
if-
use deep focus at the office where we shut all of it down for 2 to 3 hours.
Really?
Because if it breaks your concentration, it's a study.
Yes,
If
yeah.
you break your concentration,
does.
it takes you 15 minutes to get
At
back
least
to
if you can
the
get back
mind
to it.
flow of what you're focusing on.
Yes.
So, yes. But that's how I see phone calls. That's an interruption, and it's a bigger interruption than a bing on your phone. This is now I have to completely shift gears and engage with you immediately and break away from what I'm doing. I
Okay.
don't want people out there to think they can't call me. You can obviously call me. And a call is certainly, this must be important.
Mm-hmm.
That's my first thought, right? Oh, this must be. I
My
better
first
take-
thought was I'm going to call Chris from now on every time.
Yeah.
Right. Might be on Do Not Disturb. I can silence your calls
Block.
thanks to the geniuses at Apple. I don't know if Android has that yet.
Yeah. I wish when you
What is it?
silenced a call or you pressed
can
ignore.
Silence certain people. So when they call, you don't see it.
At all.
You'll see the voicemail or whatever.
It goes immediately to voicemail.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
an automatic send to voicemail.
But they know. They know when
They know because because
it doesn't ring the full 4 times.
When I ring, trade secret. If somebody calls me and I'm busy and I can't talk to them, I'll let it ring 3 or 4 times before I send them to voicemail.
Yeah.
Because if you get sent to voicemail on the first ring,
They saw the
is
call.
that an insult? Is that a brush off?
Yeah.
I don't know. There's all this etiquette with that.
I feel the same way.
Like-
you want to let it ring a little bit to let them know, hey, I'm
And I
busy.
never think,
Can't get it right now.
I never think, well, they're just busy. It's, oh man, they're mad. They don't like me. They're mad.
Mhm.
Immediately, right?
Yeah. Who's this guy? He thinks he can just send me to voicemail?
Yeah.
I'm a 4-ring voicemail.
When do you have to write a handwritten letter?
When do you have to write a handwritten letter?
Yeah.
Cursive.
Actually, when I was dealing with my insurance company recently, you had to write a physical letter and mail it to them.
IRS, we just ran into this a few days ago. The IRS, we had to.
What about family members and etiquette? I'm not saying just when is it required because of bureaucratics that haven't updated their systems. I mean, like etiquette wise.
I think it would demonstrate a high level of respect and love to get a handwritten letter from somebody. I think that's probably the ultimate display of care and affection. Would be
My
to
wife
sit
and
down
I
and handwrite a letter to somebody.
Have a tradition, and where we've got this journal that on every holiday we write a letter to each other, but it's in the journal, so we don't have to collect the letters and it'll get lost.
You pass it back and forth.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's pink, and so that is one downside to that. But
The ink isn't pink though, right?
well,
You all use the same color
it's a
every
white
time?
fluffy feather with.
Blue or black? It's a white.
Is that the one I
Or your
got you?
slippers with the little poof ball. on the
Yeah.
top.
The feather pen I got you? Is that what you're saying?
Mm-hmm. No,
Philadelphia?
I'm talking about a white fluffy, like Legally Blonde. The one
Oh,
she
wow.
uses in that one.
That's a nice tradition.
Yeah. So that is, and it doesn't matter grammar. It doesn't really matter. You can let all of that go because you're writing it by hand, and that trumps any grammar, any misspelling, and it's just the fact that you put the time and effort into doing it. And if somebody's sick, I think that email that's impersonal, text is okay. You can text them, say how you doing. But if you send them a card and you handwrite that card, I think that's a big deal.
Coming up, more thought-provoking conversations on life, death, and the law right after this.
Hey, Yuma, Dave Ramsey here. If you listen to our show or know anything about us, then you know I only recommend products and services I trust and I believe in. That's why when it comes to protecting your assets and planning for your loved one's future, you've got to call my friends Shawn Garner and Adam Hansen at the law firm of Deason, Garner, and Hansen. I encourage you to take the first step and attend a free, no-pressure seminar and learn all of your options. The firm of Deason, Garner, and Hansen has been educating the Yuma community for over 40 years, and this is the only area of law that they practice. Shawn and Adam believe in giving free education to help people make smart decisions about their assets and help them leave a legacy for their family that they can be proud of. Schedule a free personal consultation today. Call 783-4575 or visit yumaestateplanning.com.
You're listening to Life, Death, and the Law, presented by Deason, Garner, and Hansen, the law firm that has been voted Yuma's best 6 years in a row.
I think that's a lost etiquette.
Yeah.
Really nice.
Do you do it?
No.
Oh. You strike me as a person that would.
No, but now that you mention it, I might start.
We do it
Whenever
for
I need something from a contractor, I'll write them a letter. Can you send me a sample of this?
handwritten.
Yeah, handwritten.
Hear ye. Let it be known.
Dear contractor.
Yeah.
No, I think, so handwriting, I think that's something that's got to be on the decline. I just don't see it happening.
Well, this isn't along the same lines of the topic, but, with ChatGPT in there, that can write so much better than I could ever write.
Mm-hmm.
I could just put in all the topics that I love about my wife, and it could put it in there more eloquently than I could ever compose it. The handwritten letter still trumps that. I think we need to get back to that in high school. My kids are going to high school right now, and you cannot participate in high school without a laptop. They will issue a laptop. They don't care if you break it every single day. They'll issue you a new one. And I've had kids. It's like you have too much screen time, and you're figuring out how to get around all of their blocks, their firewalls on the laptop, and just playing games every day. You're not going to do it on a laptop. You're just going to go to school, do your work regular. And like, what is regular? There is no regular. It's only on the laptop. We only get our assignments on the laptop. And some of the assignments, some of the writings that I see, I'm like, that's ChatGPT. And the problem is you can never really verify that.
Difficult.
And so
Use other AI to investigate whether that was AI generated.
I put it into Copilot, ChatGPT to ask if this was, and it was like, it looks like it, but I can't be sure. And so I think getting back to handwritten assignments would probably be a benefit to a lot of kids.
I wonder if I've often wondered, so you're talking about this like this digital way of doing work and stuff instead of the paper. And I can only speak for myself. So I did piano growing up, and it gets to the point where like you play a song so much off of multiple sheets of paper that it's just in there, like it's memorized. And then when I would like read a book or something, I would be able to, if I remembered a concept, I remember where it was like positionally.
Yes.
You know, I don't know exactly maybe what page it was on, but I know what it kind of looked like because the structure of the words and the way that it dropped. I knew it was in the top right-hand corner on the page.
You might have put a bracket around it that you know to look for that bracket or underline.
And so I wonder if the kids aren't losing that ability to like spatially be aware and construct things in their mind and be able to retain better information. I've always thought that because
I found that
I
of myself. I have zero short-term memory anymore. Like if I get an 8-digit number for a passcode, I'm like, I'm copy and pasting that. And I'm not going to remember it and then type it back in. And I don't even want to look at the other screen to type it back in. I'm just going to copy and paste that. And I used to be able to, tell me a number. Okay, I got it, and write it in. But that's gone.
I have a memory device for that.
Memorizing numbers?
Anything.
So you mean
like some of the greatest, you've seen this, right? Where actually it's in a book that you read.
Okay.
Where it's like the guy that he had a goal. He was a reporter.
Yeah.
And he had to report 1 year.
Moonwalking with Einstein.
Yeah. He had to report 1 year on these memory tests or like competitions.
National competition.
Yeah. I think it was worldwide maybe.
Okay.
And so he was reporting on this and he had to go visit and watch this competition. And basically what they do is they give you all this data, just regurgitate to you, and then you have to regurgitate it back.
Yeah, you walk around a room and people will tell you their name, their first name, their last name, how they spell it, their address, their phone number, things like that.
Lots of data.
Lots of information.
Lots of stuff, right? And then, you win if you can spit that back out.
Right.
I don't know if time is a part of it too, a component. I don't remember, Shawn, but it might be like if you can do it perfectly within this amount of time or the fastest person. I don't know if that was the thing or not. But the point is, he's like, he reported on this and he was so fascinated by it. He's like, I want to do this. I'm going to learn how to do this. So he really jumps into this competition and ends up winning it, I think the next year. Because he
goes up to the winner and this is how it starts. He goes up to the winner and he is perceiving that the people participating in these events are all savants. They're people that just naturally memorize everything that they hear and see. And
like yourself.
Yeah. And he asks the winner, when did you realize that you had this gift? And he's like, there's no gift. This is just practice.
Right.
And he said, really? He says, oh, yeah. He goes, so I could do it. He says, if you put in, and I can't remember how many hours it was a day, something like 3 hours a day, and you did these certain techniques, you could memorize as well as we do, and you could get in the top 10 within a year or two. And so his book now becomes, instead of just a brief article of who has won this contest, it becomes a novel of his quest to learn, number one, what the techniques are, and number two, do savants, truly functioning in society savants, actually exist? Or are they only the savants that we know that are out there, like what's the Rain Man type person that can memorize a phone book, but still needs his mom to cook him breakfast?
A chess, Bobby Fischer, chess kid.
I don't know. Anyway, so what was your technique?
Oh, well, you know it. So are you familiar with it or no, Chris?
No, I'm
You're looking
fascinated.
at us like we're crazy. So
I use visualization
Yeah.
to memorize. If I see a number,
yeah,
much more likely to memorize.
absolutely. I'm the same way. If I can visualize it or see it, I think that's a learning mechanism too. They say the more senses that you have involved with something, the better retention you'll have of that. So seeing it, saying it, hearing it at the
Remember
same.
where you heard it, or
It'll be stuck in your memory.
It's all
right?
part of the memory.
So this guy, what I guess the key to it all
Joshua
is
Foyer is his name.
Joshua Foyer. I guess what he learned to do is you imagine a place that's really intimate to you. If you were to have a blindfold on, you could walk around in that area.
Know it.
Usually it's like your childhood home, Right? I can picture my childhood home right now, and you walk in the front door. I know exactly what it looks like. I can walk around, turn all, and so that's what you do. So as you're giving me data, I'm taking that data and I'm walking through my house. I come in the front door and you tell me 9, 2, 8, 6, 7, I'm putting a 9 right when I come in. I'm putting a 2 as I'm stepping through by the piano.
Oh, okay.
As I turn right and down the hallway, I'm putting my 8.
They're objects in a place.
And so basically you're just dropping these objects visually in your mind in this really intimate place that and then when it comes time to give it back to you, I just walk through my house.
Yeah, the 2's over there.
Yeah, the 9's here when I come in, 2, 8 down the hallway. I'm turning into the bedroom. That was a 6. So
wow, okay.
Interesting, right?
Yeah. No,
You don't seem convinced.
Phones do it better. No, I mean, I can still remember phone numbers, addresses, streets I lived on, kids, growing up. But I can remember most of my wife's phone number, but
Really?
Oh yeah. Well, we've only been married 6 years.
Yeah, that's true. It's a new one. It's a new one to you.
Well,
I learned it with phones.
Yeah.
Like when you were a kid, you had to remember.
Mm-hmm.
I got to remember Dad's work number. I got to remember Mom's work number. I got to call, Bobby's number was this.
And I think that is what's happening today is we're presenting them the information that was presented to us, but before it was presented to us on paper, and we rewrote it with pencil, and so we're using our motor skills, and we're having to concentrate on our handwriting and think of what we're writing as we do it, and all of those different sensories are going into that information, and so it's helping us retain it better, whereas just the concept of here's the information, now produce something with this information that shows that you understand it. And kids are struggling to do that, and we're wondering, well, why are they? They have every tool necessary. Well, they have too many tools.
Yeah.
And I think that's the problem. It's too easy.
It's use it or lose it. So I would do crossword puzzles, and I had this job in Tucson where everybody in the office would do crossword puzzles because we had a kind of a monotonous job that was on the phones, telemarketing. And so you could do it without even thinking about it.
Mm-hmm.
So we would sit there and everybody would do crossword puzzle. And there was these people that had been working there for 3-4 years, and they could do the daily crossword puzzle in the paper in minutes.
Wow.
Just
wild.
knock it out. And I was like, man, how do you do that? It's taking me 20, 30 minutes to do it. Well, after being there for a couple of years, I was doing the crossword puzzle in minutes because you just get sharper. That part of your brain that's doing that gets, just like any kind of training, it just gets quicker, sharper. You start to read the patterns and you start to pick up on it. And so, I think if you can train your brain, I don't know if it's a muscle, but if you can train it.
But it's like a muscle in that way.
But if you don't use it, you're going to lose it. Like we've lost, our peripheral vision, because we don't need it. We're not worried about something coming at us from the side anymore. So we have less peripheral vision now than they did back in the caveman days because they weren't worried about that.
What are you just pulling that out of the air just because?
No, I read it somewhere. I remember reading it somewhere. There was a study.
There was an Instagram post
it
on
had
that.
It had something to do with the size of the eyeballs and the size of the sockets, and so they had greater peripheral vision because they needed it. You needed it to survive.
And their canines were longer.
Who says this though? I mean, it's like, would you see that on the cave wall, like the hieroglyphics? Like, oh, we see this far.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
I don't know why they're Asian, but
it was something that, scientists come up with stuff. I don't know. It makes sense.
Okay.
I can believe it.
All right.
No, I think that the exercising the brain muscle and the ability to do that, we see that kids, they learn technology very quickly. And your brain's really malleable as a kid, and you learn languages easier, you learn, skills in sports easier. And as adults, it takes us a little bit longer. And I don't know if it's because we don't put the excitement and energy into it, or if our brain has solidified a little bit more. I don't know what the science is behind that. But with kids, they have everything. They have just everything at their fingertips. And I think just like you and I and Chris, we anticipated those things, the Nintendo game, the glove, the baseball bat, whatever it was. And the anticipation, I think, is half of the excitement and the enjoyment that comes in life in general. And the acquiring it is, to me, always a letdown. I've never anticipated something for a long time and then acquired it, and it was better than I ever imagined. And that's just kind of the way life is. What other last words of wisdom do you have?
We don't need another Morisco's shop in Yuma.
What's Morisco's?
Morisco's? What's Morisco's, Martine? Mexican seafood. Seafood.
Okay.
We have enough. We're good.
What we do need is a sunflower district.
We do need a sunflower district. Yeah. So the sunflower district is Yuma's first indoor food hall, which is coming soon. So we're excited about it.
Got it. Thanks, Chris.
Thanks, guys.
All right. That's all the time we have for today. This is Life, Death, and the Law.
If you have questions or want to know more about something that was discussed today, please call the law firm of Deason, Garner, and Hansen at 928-783-4575 or visit yumaestateplanning.com.